All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Geek Garage podcast. I'm your host, as per usual, David, and I am joined today by one of my good friends, Rika Fields. How are you doing, darling?
Hello. I'm doing good.
Good. So you have been on the podcast. It's just been like once, right? Once before, and that was at like MTAC last year.
Yeah, I just came on for like 15 minutes just to talk about cosplay.
Yeah, it was like a tiny little segment. And yeah, that was actually kind of a fun episode where I got to sit in my hotel room at the Music City Sheraton and have like people come to me. It was it was kind of nice. But yeah, I thank you again for coming on for that episode and of course for this episode.
No, it was a
And
lot of fun. I loved seeing your spider suit.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'll be honest. I think I'm always going to be partial to my first cosplay, which is of course the Iron Spidey suit, but you know, it'll just hold a special place in my heart always because it was my first cosplay, basically. So
Your first cosplay is always important, and
yeah.
mine, well, it is always going to be. It looks very bad, but it was very, very bad looking. But it was still important with the worst wig you'd ever seen.
Hey, like one of my like half-assed cosplays that I did when I was, running around with Andrew and Connor and all them, like shooting video. Uh, I just created a character like called Dave or like fucking Dave or something like that, and I was just like this guy who was kicked in the head at a Whitesnake concert in the 80s, and so now he perpetually lives in the 80s because of brain damage. Like he doesn't know what year it is. And so I just hopped on Amazon and bought like the cheapest stuff I could find. Like I bought a flannel like long sleeve shirt that I could tie around my waist, and then like a black Van Halen shirt that I cut the sleeves off of, and then like this $15 black like 80s hair metal wig that was like so fantastic, but it ended up getting like booze and like Sprite in it.
Please dress up as fucking Dave for Halloween.
Dude, I'm gonna have to bring it back in some capacity. Maybe when the convention scene, comes back around. Hopefully,
Oh, yeah, in like 2058 or something. Whenever it comes back.
I hope not, man. Like, I'm really hoping it's in 2021.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay positive for it
It's like,
because
don't you? It's like I miss walking around the expensive, gleaming, beautiful vendor hall, walking into panels, falling over drunk in the hall.
right, all of it.
It's all so beautiful.
I know.
Waking up at the ass crack of dawn to have your breakfast.
Right, and you literally went to sleep like 3 hours before that.
Oh yeah, and then you gotta like people who do cosplay. You're like, and if you're going to some of the cons like I've been to, it's like some of them are very cold. So you just woke up, you ate, but now you gotta put on your costume, and some of them it's like I'm not showing a lot of like skin or anything, but they're very thin. So now you gotta walk around and you're cold as shit. And last MTAC I went to, I was cold as shit. The one that used,
yeah, I remember that one. I think this last one wasn't, or well, okay, so there wasn't an MTAC this past year, but there was, the one that we were just referring to with the podcast. I think was that the one that was like kind of cold, like it got really cold at night.
Yeah,
I remember one of them, like it was either 2018 or 2019, and it was like super cold that weekend. Like during the day, it was okay because the sun was out, but then, yeah, like at night, it was just like everyone was trying to be in the courtyard and like trying to huddle up and stay warm, but man, it was chilly.
So I'm gonna have a guess. I bet there's gonna be a lot of Starlight cosplays.
Dude, I hope that there is. That's actually a excellent segue into our topic. Yeah, I'm hoping that we see a lot of boys cosplay coming
Yes.
up whenever cons open back up. And yes, like I said, excellent segue. Today we are talking about The Boys season 2. We're gonna do a little recap. Um,
Yay.
yeah. So this is basically Amazon Prime's like flagship show, right? Like they have some other stuff, like they have some other original content going for them, but as far as I know, maybe I'm just sticking my head in the sand on this one, but it seems to me like this is really the main thing that they have going for them right now.
Oh yeah, look, it's like I think Amazon looked up and they're like, huh, superheroes. People like
Right.
those. It's like
Yeah.
it's like so all right, so we can't do anything with Marvel. Disney owns them.
Hmm.
It says it's like I don't know. It's like Watchmen. Someone owns them too now. So okay,
Right.
we can't use them. It's like more. It's like oh, and then they'd be like calling someone on Amazon, like oh my gosh, listen to this. I just heard about this comic book series written by this guy, and his actual name is Garth Ennis, right? And
Hmm.
but it's like, and he made this thing called The Boys. Yeah, The Boys. And they're like, yeah, it's about superheroes. And they're like, you don't know what you don't want to know what it's about? We're just gonna run with it. Okay, let's run with it.
Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, it seems like they were that desperate for content. They're just like, yeah, let's just fucking let's get something out there for God's sake. But yeah, no, they've really scored big with this series, in my opinion. Like, and of course, I believe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in your opinion as well. And um a lot of my friends just have nothing but great things to say about this show.
Oh no, it's
And
fantastic.
yeah, and so we felt that the podcast warranted an episode on it. So yeah, um, I guess before we get started, we want to throw out a spoiler alert. Uh, I mean, we feel like we shouldn't have to, but we should, because there's of course people tuning into almost every episode as first time listeners and don't really know how things work. So yes, typically with stuff like this, when we're doing like season recaps and whatnot, it, what would be the fun in like talking about how we felt about a season, but we couldn't give any spoilers away, like
But you couldn't.
that.
We couldn't talk about
Yeah,
an episode at all. But it also
it
wouldn't be
would
yeah, it wouldn't be fair.
it
To,
would be like 5 minutes long, the episode.
it's
It
like
wouldn't be it.
episode 1. Billy walks in. He picks up a gun.
Right.
He walks
Yes.
out.
All right. Season 2 of The Boys. Things happen. The end.
It's like 2 people died also, but we can't tell you who because they were important.
Right. Yeah. That's all we can say, and that's kind of teetering the line of giving you too much information as well. So,
Yeah, so go watch
um,
season 1 and 2, but you have to like violence because it's pretty violent. It is not tame.
man, yeah, that's for damn sure. This is like HBO level
It is.
violence and gore, and it's just, but it's so great. I love
Like
it.
me going into watching it first, like I said, I had no idea what The Boys was about. I knew it was about superheroes. I really had no
Hmm.
idea what it was about. This is like episode 1. I'm relaxing in my bed. I'm in my I call it like cine mode. My bed has like it can
Hmm.
raise, and so it's
Oh,
raised
nice.
up. Yeah, I'm relaxed. I have everything but my popcorn, and so it's starting. Everything's great, and then A Train runs like slap dab right into Huey's
Oh my
girlfriend,
god.
and and smithereens her, and
Dude, yeah, that
my
was.
jaw like it just dropped. What a way to start a show. That's like the
I
first
know.
10 minutes, maybe 15 into the show.
Yeah, that's basically like the first scene, or one of the first scenes. Like we're barely introduced to Huey. Barely. We barely know him as a character, and then we hardly know his girlfriend at all. Like
We
we
really
know
don't know.
that
We
she
know her
exists.
name. We know her
Yeah,
name.
and
We know they've been together for a while.
yeah, yeah, and what she looks like. But that's
We
about it.
know what she did look like.
And we know what like some of her teeth and molars look like
Yeah.
as they flew through the air in slow motion. But yeah, that was yeah. But that was season 1, and we
Yes.
are here to talk about season 2. So yeah, jumping forward, Rika, what did you think about season 2 of The Boys? Or
Okay, well,
overall thoughts, impressions?
all right. So see, and I thought it started off instead of starting off like episode 1, right? How it
Hmm.
like started off like it just kind of threw you in there. I thought it in the beginning it eased you in,
Sure.
and but each episode you were just like you want to know what happened, and also in my opinion, each character got their own little bit of time, which you want. I want to know what I mean, okay, Black Noir doesn't get really anything. Okay, he gets a little bit, but I don't really think he gets much of anything. But uh, some people might really like, Maggie, or well, that's Queen Maeve. Queen Maeve,
Hmm.
and so they want to see more of her, want to see more of her past and her relationships. So, or even the Deep or A Train, and or see what's going on with Kimiko, and you do. Everyone gets more time,
Hmm.
and it's less focused on Billy and Huey.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like this season did that really well. It's always difficult for either a show or a movie to juggle such a big ensemble cast like this, but I feel like
A
this.
la Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's always a difficult situation to deal with, but I feel like this one, this season did it pretty well. Like it kind of gave everyone its due, and gave them their own story, and a story that made sense for the most part. So yeah, yeah, I definitely get that.
I also liked that, I think that I think the season I liked how the season started, and I liked how it ended. It's
Hmm.
not often that I have a show that, like, when they wrap it up into a pretty bow for you.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did like that they did that for me. Um,
Hmm.
uh, I
Yeah.
feel like
No,
there wasn't as much violence in this season.
you don't think so?
Well,
I mean, there was like a lot of head exploding.
okay, yeah, the head exploding. I think the head exploding was the more violence versus the you, I'm like Patrick Bateman with superpowers from season 1.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and they did fly through that poor humpback whale, or
I think
whatever
yeah,
kind of whale that
yeah,
was. Blue
yeah.
whale,
I
maybe.
can't
I
see.
don't.
I guess it's because I've only watched I only watched it once, like the show. I didn't watch it twice. Um, so like, there's some things I'm forgetting, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I was so devastated about the whale.
I know. I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh no, that poor whale!" Like, but that's like classic Deep for you. Like
Yes,
he's
it
just
is.
like we rarely get to see the Deep do anything like that ends up working out in any positive way, form, or fashion. It's just yeah, it's pretty much consistent disaster for him.
It
Uh,
is. It really
yeah,
is. But at first everything seemed to be going well. I was like, "Oh my gosh, look, he's got sharks up coming at him and everything."
right,
Then
yeah, yeah,
then there's the big whale. See, in my opinion, what would have been smart is if he'd had the whale, just like breach and just flop on top of him. But
sure,
what
yeah.
do I know?
No, I mean that to me that makes more sense than like the whale just like speeding up ahead and then doing this blockade thing where it's like there's no way that this like speedboat could go through me. But then again, like I don't know, I don't know the extent of the Deep's like powers and how he communicates with fish and with dolphins and whales. Like I don't know if he like actually takes control of them, or if he guides them. I don't know how all that works. So, I mean, if he forced that whale to do that, then I mean, definitely in that case, poor whale.
Uh,
Uh,
the whole
but
thing was just like, I was just like, oh my gosh, just the whole thing. I was like, I don't know, I really love animals. So I was like, oh.
yeah, yeah, and then they all end up on the beach, and they're like, "Well, this is just a terrible situation for all of us, isn't it?"
I think Huey's is my favorite. He's just like, I'm just gonna stay in here.
Oh yeah, poor Huey. Yeah,
Listen,
the amount of
he is still a sweet bean from like the season
mhm,
1.
yeah,
He is. He is
yeah, for
still
sure.
the sweetest ever. And
Yeah,
so I think Jack Quaid portrays him so good.
mhm,
Uh, because like I mean, it's kind of hard to portray someone who's just so sweet and like nice, and he just really wants to help everybody.
right, yeah. So you said you were good with this season overall, and you liked how this season kind of wrapped up with like this pretty little bow, and how like there was cliffhangers, but it wasn't like it it didn't feel as stressful as the season 1 finale. Like
Oh no, the season 1 finale? Come on. Really? I
yeah,
mean, really? Who expected that? I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, part of me was like, okay, like this makes sense, but for me personally, I turn my brain off when I watch stuff because I don't want to like spoil things for myself by trying to figure things out along the way and then be like, oh, yep, guessed it. Like, where's the fucking fun in that? Like, there's no fun in it. So yeah, so that was a complete surprise, and luckily for me, when season 2 started and everyone started talking about the boys again, like on Facebook and Twitter and all that, I was like, oh damn, I forgot about this show. Like, and just everyone would not shut up about it. I was like, okay, well, apparently it's a good show. Maybe I need to watch it. So I luckily Lindsay and I, we didn't have that stress of ending or finishing the first season and then having to wait a year or whatever for the next season to kick off. We all we had to do was all right, time to start season 2. I mean, granted, we only got to season or episode like 2 or 3 before we were all caught up, and then had to wait every Friday like everyone else, but we were
isn't
cool
that
with
some
that.
crap? Who wants to
Man,
wait? That's what we don't pay to wait.
like I'm okay with it. Like in the days of binging stuff, like I get it. Like it's fun to binge watch, seasons of shows, but like you go through it in like a weekend and then you're stuck waiting for a year. Like I mean, to me, it's just more a little bit more fun and entertaining to every once in a while. Like have it pushed out like that. And when they did that with the Mandalorian, I was super excited because it kind of, I feel like it's a little bit nostalgic for me because growing up, like you go to school like Monday morning and then you talk about like all the shows that premiered on Friday night, like
No, I totally I know, I get it.
you get what
I
I'm
do.
saying? Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about it that way. I mean,
That's
hell,
just me personally though.
no, I mean, I remember coming home from school, like, and just, like, waiting for Sailor Moon to come on, like, the new episode of Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and they'd always say it was the new episodes every day,
Mhm.
Monday to Friday. And I would watch Goosebumps to pass the time, and
Yeah,
then
goosebumps.
even though I loved Goosebumps, and then I knew as soon as that was over, Dragon Ball Z, then Sailor Moon. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, that's what people want that. They're like, and I it can be kind of like frustrating. It's only frustrating, I guess, if it really ends on like a cliffhanger where it's like really, really bad and obnoxious.
Sure.
But
Right. Where like
um,
nothing good happens.
yeah, like I don't know, HBO's Game of Thrones. Not, I mean, they see their season one, the way their episode ended, made me excited for the next one.
Mhm.
Their
Yeah.
each episode made me excited for the next week and the next week, and then as time went on, I just wanted the next week and the next week to happen so I can find out what happened because I was just getting pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I get that.
but
But no, like overall, like I really enjoyed season 2. I'll echo a couple things that you said, that you some of your feelings. Like I thought it was a little bit of a slower burn than season 1, uh, but yeah, I thought that it was still a really solid season overall.
mhm,
Um, they I felt that they avoided the notorious sophomore slump, that a lot of shows and movies that have, a sequel, they avoided that sophomore slump, which is, great for them. Uh, I thought the finale was better than season 1. Um, that season two's was better. Uh, Maybe that's just because it ended on a more positive note and it was some cliffhangers, but not excuse me, it wasn't as many cliffhangers, and it gave you the opportunity to like be like, okay, you can take a breath. Like some like good things happened. Of course, some bad things happened. People died, but there's definitely things to look forward to with season 3, and you kind of want to use your brain and think, oh, like, what's gonna happen next season, instead of being like, oh fuck, like everyone's dead, like what are they gonna do, like I don't even watch this fucking show anymore.
they
So like,
killed everybody.
yeah, so I was very glad that they didn't end it like that, because I felt like they might for whatever reason. So
I
yeah.
thought like I think that final season of the final episode of season 1, it ended like holy shit, and then
Hmm.
and then it's like holy shit, and then holy shit,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's just like holy shit moment after one after another.
and and then and then this one, it's like oh oh, and then and then and then and then you get Homelander jerking it in front of the moon.
Dude. Yeah,
I'm the
so
best. Me. I'm the bestest in the world.
God, like, wow, what a fragile ego. Like, I mean, having to masturbate in front of an entire city, like on top of a skyscraper, like is your masculinity that fragile, bro? Like,
Oh yeah, it is.
most definitely is. But I
Hey,
mean,
he got over. Hey, he got over his like 10-second Tom because when he was the storm front.
right.
I thought he was only because when he was with Madeline, it seemed like he lasted like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But also,
He.
he seemed like it seemed like it caused him pain. Also, though, so it's like
Mhm.
I don't know. Also, I don't know. She used him a lot too. Like, there's a lot of
She.
manipulation. She was not a
Yeah.
nice person either.
No. She was. I don't know. I have a lot of complicated feelings with her. Like some of the things I understand, what she did, but overall, she was a pretty shitty person. And yeah, but I thought the kind of the phasing out of her and the introduction of I almost called him Gus because he plays Gus in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but it's not Gus. What's his name? Let's see, I have it in my notes here. Um,
I don't. I know you're talking about. I didn't write his
Edgar,
name.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't write his
yeah,
name down either.
Stan Edgar. I mean, he didn't take her place. Like he's like the head honcho
Yeah,
of
Ashley took Madeline's place.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
she back
she just
on.
quote took her place. Yeah, okay, girl.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So one of the things that I liked, just right off the bat with season 2 episode 1, I believe it was, where like Homelander finds out that they already replaced the missing or the lacking person, empty spot in the 7 with Stormfront, and he goes to talk to Edgar to be like, hey, like, what the fuck, bro? And he's using his typical like calm and collected like intimidation tactics with him, but they're not working. Like they work on literally everyone else except this guy. Like he Edgar knows that he could fucking end him at any point in time, but he just refuses to be intimidated by him, and which I gotta give him credit for. Like I know he's, I guess, technically a bad guy in this equation, but yeah, like
I mean,
I
yeah, oh
just
yeah, he's definitely a bad guy.
but yeah, like I thought it was so. I mean, definitely on par for Giancarlo Esposito, the actor who, I mean, he typically plays, that guy that just cannot be intimidated or whatever. Like he plays that character so well. So I was really excited to see him with a role in this show.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know how many people could just stand there and get threatened by evil Superman, pretty much.
Right, like
And
fucking.
not like
Well,
cower.
yeah, but yeah, he found a way to stand up to him. It was crazy. Um, I think so. One of the very few things that I took issue with the season was the Church of the Collective storyline. I don't know how you
Mhm.
felt about this. Like, I didn't dislike it, but I will say it was probably my least favorite thing about this season. And of course, we all know that Stormfront is a thing in this season.
Oh
So that's kind of
gosh.
saying something. But like you and I, we were talking about this. We were texting back and forth as we were gathering notes for this episode. We were talking about how great of a villain Stormfront is.
Oh gosh, she's
Um,
great.
yeah, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But like, what did you think about the Church of the Collective? Like, did you have any problems with that? Like, did you feel like that made sense and it had a place in this season?
Okay, well, here's what I thought. I think first off, I think that they had something, and then it just like plot holed away or something. You get what I mean? Like,
Sure.
though what I do think that it did help them by at one point is how like this it showed some racism on like really early on whenever A Train first hears about it from from
The
Deep,
deep.
and he mentions it to Stormfront, and she says, "Oh yeah, I used to be a part of it. It was a good place until they started letting until they started letting everybody
Yeah.
in." And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Or some people," and he's like, "What do you mean some people?" And she just looks at him, and he's like, and that's when you start. And then obviously another time she said some other colorful things.
Yeah.
I would
She.
prefer not to say because
Right. Yeah.
but so that gave it like a good, you know, it was really interesting to see that or say that and how long it'd been around. And I get now also using the church, they were able to get information. They would never have been able to get without the church. They never would have been able to get information on Stormfront. So there is
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that I do like, and I'll mention it here, and I'll bring it back. I guess at the on the on the final episode, I'll mention it. I guess deeper. Uh huh. Well, it's about the deep.
I see what
Blah.
you did there.
But such bad old woman puns. But
Oh.
um, so you know he joins this church. I'm assuming he gave them money. I don't know. I mean, he had to have. But they they're trying to be like, yeah, we'll get you back in the seven. You need to do this, get married to this one girl, do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, and then and you're like, oh, maybe he's changing, and and I wanted him to change. I really did, because over the episodes, you start learning more about him, and you do kind of feel sorry for him, even though as you're also learning about him, you're learning he's a trash human being.
Right.
So it's a mixture of feeling sorry for him, and then why am I feeling sorry for this idiot? And, it's like, yes, I'm sorry that you have body issues, but I have body issues. You don't see me going around doing that. But
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things like I don't know. It's a weird situation because like there's no one in the seven that's like pure. I mean, obviously, an argument could be made that if you're going to rank the most pure from the least pure, the most pure would obviously be Starlight.
mhm.
But like I don't. Granted, we saw the Deep. Do some pretty shitty things right off the bat in season one. Like we saw all the other members of the seven do equally and worse shitty things consistently. So like I don't know, I feel like there has been uh a, I guess, quote unquote sufficient amount of um yeah, like
Shittiness between all of them, pretty much.
yeah,
But
but like with empathy, as far as empathy goes towards any of the characters, like I guess the Deep could inspire the most empathy out of a person, especially when like he went through all the motions of like what the church suggested he do in order to get back into
well,
the
no,
seven, like
well,
you
that's what I was
mentioned
going to
that.
get at. That's what I was going to get at, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he does everything. He does all that, right? Um, and then it's him. It's him and A Train, and
Hmm.
they're like, guess what? A Train, you're back in the seven. This is the final episode, and he's like, yeah, I'm back, and he's like, I'm sorry. It's like, sorry, Deep, not you, and like I said, the final episode we can go more into detail about it, but Deep, who had been for so long as he joined the church, had been all calm and collected and whatnot, he switches gears like instantly. I had to
Yeah.
marry that creepy woman. I've been
Hmm.
doing all this stuff, and in my opinion, it showed him that he dropped an act, and he was
Mm,
not, and he had like faked it all, and
sure.
like maybe he wasn't as good changed as he as he
Yeah.
as he tried as
Like
he was pointing
as
out.
yeah, as invested in the program or the church or whatever as we all thought he might be.
And
Yeah. But like obviously A Train wasn't either. Like he switched just like that. Like he was like fucking out of there and he didn't give a shit about about the Deep. Like
oh no,
the
but
fact that
he never claimed to though, and he also was never a part of it, and so and he never was like, I ain't getting married. I don't know, I don't think he was actually like playing a part like the Deep was though.
mhm.
That's
No,
just personal
yeah.
opinion. I'm He wasn't over there doing like, here, let me give you a book. This is food for your soul.
Yeah, but right, but also like the Deep has been a part of the church basically throughout the entire duration of season
Mhm.
2. Like A Train doesn't even come into the picture as far as the church goes until like episode 6 maybe. Like there's only a couple episodes left in the season and he's introduced into the church. So he doesn't really have that time or opportunity to kind of get his footing and be a part of the church and drink the proverbial Kool-Aid as it were.
Mhm.
So
Get the
yeah,
brainwashing in.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was some strategy there on the church's part of keeping the Deep there instead of A Train because he wasn't, really part of the equation for too long. It was easier to get him out. I don't know. Maybe
Uh,
maybe there's something else there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
they never intend. I mean, yeah, maybe they never wanted Deep to leave. Maybe they,
Yeah.
like I said, that's something we'll have to find out later because I mean, his story ain't over, And also, rest in peace, Pop Claw.
I know
she
that poor girl.
she was so cute, and like I
Yeah.
really liked her. She was a good character.
Yeah, she was fun. I wish that they were able to keep her around for a little bit longer, but such is life, I guess.
It's just life if you're a bee super who can't fight back, really.
Right. Um so I guess as far as the let's talk about some of like the big things that happened in this season, because there's definitely some big things. Like, let's talk about the Kamiko's younger brother Kenji, like, and the fact that Vought labels him as a terrorist, and the an evil soup that they need to go after and obtain and kill or whatever. But yeah, let's you want to talk about him for a minute?
Yeah, let's talk about him.
Yeah. So I was actually I actually really liked this part of the season, because I mean, one, like, it was just interesting in and of itself, but also, like, you get to know a little bit of Kamiko's backstory through the introduction of her younger brother. So I thought that was really cool, and we of course find out why she doesn't really speak. And then of course later on we get to the point of Frenchie and Kamiko. She finally kind of like drops her guard a little bit and starts to teach him her own personal sign language kind of thing. So
Oh yeah, I think it's really interesting that like he even said that well Kenji even said to Frenchie that when they were on the yacht together that after he told him more of their backstory that they since she stopped speaking after the trauma,
mhm,
they made up their own version of a American Sign Language, but
mhm,
I guess they're like I said, their own version, and
yeah,
that's why he was like, "That's no sign language I've ever seen because it's not," and he said that saved him, and and so it is interesting to see that and their communication together, and I don't know, it's sweet and sad at the same time. Uh,
yeah, and
and
that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. All I was gonna say was that, Frenchie just so desperate to learn to be able to communicate with her better. It's
I,
just,
I know, and like I feel like he was really given that opportunity in this season to like show his true feelings, that like it's not just this surface level fascination with her. Like, he actually really cares about her, and like you said, to the point of wanting to learn her secret sign language that her and her brother made up, like, so he can actually communicate with her. So I thought that was really sweet.
oh yeah, it was. I mean, because I mean, she tries to in the beginning, like like when she wrote, boy and girl, trying to say it's her brother. You know what I mean? Or she
Hmm.
has a brother. He didn't understand. Um, and so And I'm sure someone can be like, "Well, obviously she can speak, make her speak," or just, get over. And it's like you can't just get over trauma like that, okay?
Yeah.
But uh, that's it's just kind of like later when her brother, is killed. You see her revert like back to her
Hmm.
former state whenever she was first found.
Yep.
Like, I mean, hardcore. Like, her hair looks the same, her skin looks the same, and she's, like, watching TV, like, underneath, underneath, like, a table, and, that's I mean, that's
Right.
how it happens. It's crazy, like, how
Yeah,
fast it
and
happens.
yeah, and of course it didn't help because of the like what went down, where they were Stormfront was chasing after him. Kamiko was chasing after Stormfront and her brother, like, just trying to help resolve the situation, and then she had to like actually watch all that go down with Stormfront? What did he like break his neck or something?
No,
I can't remember exactly.
first she broke his hands, which was, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Um, well, then she had that thing that she said it like, what, she's like, "I like to see the light go out of their
Oh
eyes." So
God,
she
that's so fucked up. God.
I know,
Oh my God.
and then of course, she had to make a little racial comment,
Yeah,
uh,
oh my gosh, she's
and
such a
that
fucking racist.
oh, yeah, she's a Nazi. Um,
Yeah.
but, so, yeah, she broke his neck, uh,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, that was, it's pretty awful, and so that's why, normally she would and you see in, like, future episodes, when she sees her, she freezes
Right.
because, you know, she just, she's, like, reminded of that, and she's scared even though she can physically take her on, but,
Hmm.
it's just, like, that terror, the memory, and she blames herself for what happened to her brother, even though that can't control that.
Yeah, that was, in my opinion, one of the toughest things to watch in this season was her having to watch that. It was pretty nuts because it said a whole lot. Like it said a lot about her brother, and definitely a lot about Stormfront and what to expect down the road. Because like leading up to that, when the seven were trying to go apprehend Kamiko's brother, Homelander being the head honcho, he's like, hey, like, follow my orders, like we bring him in alive. And then she just fucking ends him because she's not gonna, you know she doesn't care about anyone's feelings or orders. Like, she's gonna do whatever the hell she wants. um, and so we really get to know her character that much better through that scene by what she says and her actions. It's just, yeah, it's on another level.
And you definitely see how she feels when she says, "You snooze, you lose, Gramps." And and his
Yeah.
like, and so to him, it's like that blatant disrespect.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. And then of course it spirals into this weird romantic nebulous that, like, we didn't see coming but also subconsciously did see coming.
I think okay, the only reason I saw it coming, first I thought they were gonna fight, but then the only reason I saw it coming was they're both so twisted.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think more her than him.
Yeah.
Um, because at least Homelander's not like a racist Nazi.
Right.
He was more
Yeah.
like at all of her, like, random racist tirades, he was just kinda like, okay. Okay.
Right.
I just wanna be loved by everyone. I just want everyone to listen to me,
Yeah.
and for everyone to love me. That's
Mm.
it. Uh, and he, as much as he tries to do the whole, "I don't need anyone." Oh, honey, no. You need that
Yeah.
validation. You need the love of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's had it for so long though. And then, here comes someone looking like they're trying to usurp his role as the leader of, the seven, and he can't be having that.
It's like,
But
"Excuse no, you can't." And
yeah.
and then the memes.
Mhm.
Like, I have he getting freaked out over the memes until she's like, "I'll help you. Let's make some for you." Mhm. Some good ones.
Yeah.
Not and but, yeah, what I thought was disturbing was, the flashback of, Liberty
Mm.
with, her punching the girl's brother to death and on the hood of
Oh
the car.
yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that
That
was
was that was hard to
pretty out
watch.
there.
That was
Yeah.
thankfully, you don't
Yeah.
really see it. You don't see it happen. You see the aftermath, but you don't see it.
Right.
And
I always find it really interesting, like visual storytelling when there is in situations like that. I mean, you see it a lot in horror and stuff like this. I mean, there's been a lot of instances in The Boys like this, but you see a lot in horror too, where you see more of the storytelling, and the action through the person that's witnessing rather than the actual business going down. So instead of seeing like maybe her fist like going through his face, you see the visceral reaction of,
The
that
sister,
that
yeah.
girl, yeah, the
Mhm.
sister in the car, just flipping her shit, because I mean, who wouldn't?
Mhm.
And so like we have that to go off of more than, and so I always find it interesting whenever directors and editors choose to have that as like the forefront of, the storytelling, instead of just be like, hey, look at this hand going through this face.
It's like
So
let me show you everything because the audience is stupid, obviously. Let me spoon
right.
feed you it all.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times and places for gore, and we all appreciate it. But I feel like this season did a pretty good job of strategically placing the gore and the craziness to the point where it wasn't like overbearing, and it wasn't like I never had a point in this season where I was, all right, come on already, like enough with the uh, you know blatant, unnecessary, excessive gore. Like, uh, so yeah.
So you didn't like it when he imagined lasering down a whole, a thing of people?
um, yeah, I knew right off the bat that he was imagining that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, there's no way.
yeah, I was like, yeah, this is way too 0 to 60 for this to actually be happening. So yeah, I pretty much dismissed that as like a daydream right off the bat.
Even he's more
So
composed than that.
right, yeah, which I mean, I was kind of glad for in that moment. I was like, okay, good. It is a dream or daydream. Like, I was like, I don't think I am emotionally equipped to handle this business going down right now. So yeah, um, but yeah, let's see what else happened in this season. Um,
Rebecca
yeah,
and
so
Ryan
right,
actually
yeah,
got, like, we learned about them.
yeah, and they have some actual screen time.
Um,
So yeah, that was awesome that we got all that. And Homelander, of course, is trying to force his way into their lives and be a part of his son's life, which I mean, like, I get, like, he grew up not having uh any parents, or he didn't have a dad to call his own. So like, I feel like we were supposed to empathize with him in that moment. But of course, like Homelander, the execution of it all, it's just, um yeah, it's not what he's known for. This is smooth execution of things.
but, I mean, I do, and always I kinda do feel for him, I do,
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
he wasn't, like, born a monster, you know? He
Right.
in season 1, you do see flashbacks of his life, and,
Right.
or he was born he was, born and raised in a tiny room with a blanket, that's all he
Hmm.
had, and he was shown photos of, like, this is America. You're going to be the glowing light of America. This is Jesus, and you're going to represent. And you're going to be like, and this is like eagles and all this stuff. Pretty much, he's going to be like the shining spotlight of like America and Christianity and all this stuff.
American Jesus.
Pretty much he was going to be like, he was being groomed for this and created for this purpose. But they're
Right.
and they were scared of his powers, obviously,
Hmm.
and and that, like, he had, and people were even more scared of him whenever he, like, hugged this female doctor. I don't know if she was a nurse or doctor, I don't know, or scientist, but she was the only mother figure he had. Well, he hugged her, and he didn't have control of his powers or his strength, and he killed her by like breaking her spine.
Hmm.
So then people were gonna act even more like nervous around him, or not want to be around him at all, and treat him like a monster. So obviously he wants validation, and he told and he told Ryan in one of the episodes that people always used to make him be like, "Show me your powers, fly,
Hmm.
do this,"
Yeah.
and um, so yeah, he definitely is. Even now, put on like a monkey in a circus, being like, you're
Right.
gonna do movies now, and you're gonna be in a commercial, and you're gonna do this, and uh, so, but and then you see Ryan whenever he's taken out. What Homelander says happens did happen.
Yeah.
He says if you take him out into a world, he's gonna see a crowd, he's gonna lose. He's gonna just lose it, and he did. He was
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah. I feel like no matter what happened, things weren't going to be they weren't going to be great because like that's not a normal situation to be in. Like it's not normal to have superpowers. It's not normal to live in this like secluded little faux neighborhood area where you are like under surveillance 24/7. Like none of that is normal. So once that like quote unquote normal is broken, like you're gonna freak out about, no matter what happens. Like, oh my god, like this isn't like this isn't the normal thing. Like what the hell?
Um, but he was just so sweet and cute, and like I don't know, I just. And then the irony, she's like, I want to keep superhero stuff away from him as she's microwaving a Queen Maeve lasagna. I
Yeah.
was freaking dying over that. I was like, I hope I'm not the only one didn't miss that because that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I that does sound familiar, but it might
It
have
was
been because you had
it was
mentioned it to me.
it was whenever Stormfront and
Right,
had came
yeah.
there, and then she was like, and Stormfront pretty much was all like, I'm gonna be his new mom.
Oh my god. That
She
was so infuriating. Like I was so pissed.
Yeah, I know. That whole scene was just awful.
Yeah, when she just like shows up and um yeah, and like she I forget exactly what she says, but it is something to the effect of like, some people like white people are just better than brown people or like white people are just better than everyone else. And like the look on Homelander's face, he's like, all
Oh
right
my
lady, let's pump the fucking brakes.
when she's just like, "There's a war on white people.
Yeah,
People are trying to like kill us or something like that." And yeah, she
yeah,
does say something like that, like, yeah, like we are like superior and blah blah blah, and and yeah, he looked at her. He didn't even have to say anything. His just
right.
eyebrow raise was like, um.
Yeah, but what was great was like he didn't look taken aback. Like he did such great facial work for that, where like he stayed in the moment and to make sure that like if Ryan looked at him, like he didn't get all concerned about what was going on and throwing him off and making him think that like, hey, I shouldn't be in this situation. Like these two weirdos are they shouldn't be part of my life. Like maybe my mom was right. But his facial expression also said like, um yeah, maybe let's pump the brakes and let's switch gears and talk about something else now.
I know, man. Honestly, uh, I really did feel like, that in the beginning, or at least that Homelander really cared about Ryan. You know,
Mhm.
or at least maybe I wanted to,
Yeah,
um,
I
and
think that's right.
and like, cause it wasn't. I mean, obviously, he definitely wanted to have the daddy role at first. Uh, Even though the irony is that, like, he shitted on Madeline all the time for being like, "You have a baby now," just, like, as an accessory, you know?
Right.
But, that's a baby. But also, he has powers, and he'd seen him do, like, the laser just the flicker of his laser eyes, at the end of season 1. So he knew he could.
Yeah.
Um, but I think he was just more interested. I guess we won't really never know, considering he gave his son up for the public.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like, it did start out like towards the beginning of season two. Him, Homelander, inserting himself into their situation. That was, I feel like, almost 100% like he wants to be part of their lives. Like, there's no ulterior motive. Like, like, yes, is he being creepy about it? For sure. But like, does he actually want to be like a dad to Ryan? Like, I think 100% he did. However, when he was basically rejected by Ryan, like he's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're a fucking weirdo. Like, get away from me. When he finally comes back, and he comes back with Stormfront, I think that was more about like him wanting to regain some sort of control of life just in general, and and wanting to take the reins back, because with Stormfront's introduction, that control went out the fucking window. Like, he was no longer like the immediate leader, go-to of the Seven. Like, all of a sudden he was basically like sharing that responsibility with her, and she was like being a rogue, like just going off and doing her own thing, and he couldn't control her because their powers are basically matched. So yeah, it's just insanity.
Also, but well, there was like a few. The one scene at the cabin, and it did
Mhm.
seem pretty genuine. Whenever, that's whenever he opened up to Ryan, and
Right.
that did seem pretty genuine. And I don't know, and that's whenever he leaned on him and everything, and it was really sweet.
Mhm.
But he did turn on him pretty quick whenever Ryan, decided he wanted to stay with Billy, and he was
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, I felt, I mean, I did kind of feel bad for him in that moment, but to me, like, I feel like we've talked about like Homelander and the rest of the Seven for a while. I guess we can use this opportunity to kind of switch gears and talk about Billy and a few of the others that we haven't talked about a lot. Because, I mean, obviously Billy is a pretty essential character. Um, I
yeah,
thought, like, I was super proud of Billy in that moment, because the whole series has kind of been leading up to this moment where he has to kind of make this decision, where like he has to protect a soup, and we're all led to believe that he's probably gonna not do that. Like, it's just, it's just unforgivable, like what happened to him, and earlier in his life, and so there's no way that yeah, and the fact that he was originally going to let Vought take Ryan away from Becca.
I
uh
know. I was like, "What on
yeah.
earth, you trash human?"
Right, but like we have that glimmer of hope when they all rejoin under that like little pavilion or whatever it was.
The little garage awning. Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah. And he's like, okay, like we need to go, like you need to go, because I originally I was going to give Ryan to Vought, but I'm reneging on that deal. They're fucking pissed. We need to go right now. um and so we get to that crazy moment where Ryan's like done that, the crazy eye lasers to try and save his mom, but ends up, unfortunately doing her in. And then we get Stormfront as I
As
guess, a
a lit
paraplegic.
no, she was, like, limbless. She had, like, no
Yeah.
arms and no legs, and I think I think how it, and I think most of her I think she was pretty much sliced in half,
Yeah.
and most of
It's
her face was, like, burnt. So he had to have, like, did it, like, where also where he was, like, short and she was holding Becca up in the air.
mhm.
Um, he probably, and and like I said, he can't control it, so it probably just came out like a big bright beam, like a big, not like a focused beam.
Yeah.
Uh, it just sliced upward, and so a tiny bit of the beam probably hit her in like the neck, and that's
Yeah,
and
I mean, yeah, this is what, like, the first or second time, like, I mean, he's never really used his powers before, so of course, like, when he finally has to use them, you know, bad shit is also gonna happen, like,
yeah.
because he's never had practice using them, like, he didn't grow up like Homelander, where he's basically honing his skill since day one. I mean, he didn't have that quote unquote luxury.
Mhm. And
So,
and you're right, he's never used his eye beams, he's used his you see him, like, glow in
mhm,
at the end of the season of season 1, and
mhm.
you see them glow, and he uses his super strength, uh, whenever when he, well, throws Homelander back,
Mhm,
uh, and his eyes glowed, but that's all, and now he's using his, like, laser beam, and, I knew it was gonna happen, and I don't know, I feel like I don't know, I feel like they kinda made that a little bit too obvious to, like, I could just see that happening so easily, that I knew
sure.
he was gonna use his eye beams, right? Or
Yeah.
but I could just see, I was like, "Yeah, and he's gonna kill Becca at the same time." At least he didn't chop her in half.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's that, it wasn't just this brutal, grisly, like, murder that happens. But yeah, it was, I felt like it was telegraphed a little bit, that you could kind of predict that happening, but at the same time, like, I didn't really mind that too much. Like,
No,
I didn't
I
have,
didn't.
yeah, I
I
didn't have an
Now,
issue with it.
I thought she was going to die in the, car accident that Stormfront made.
Yeah.
Um, thought she was gonna die from that, but no one actually even got hurt in that, so which I am
Yeah, like, yeah,
amazed how.
yeah, that was probably the only part in this season where I was just like, "Fucking how?" Like that car literally rolled like 15 times. Like, how the hell did all three of those people just walk out of that car like unscathed? Like, a few bumps and scratches, yeah, but overall we're okay. Like that.
What Starlight beams a guy and just like pushes him. And he hits the ground and he dies from that.
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
like, what? What?
um so since we're kind of talking about this scene in particular, I guess this is a good time to talk about my feelings on this. This was hands down my favorite part of this season, when Maeve, Kamiko, and Starlight just go balls to the wall, ape shit, kick ass on fucking Stormfront. Like, they just beat the ever living piss out of her, and I was like up off my couch, like screaming at my TV. I was like, "Fucking get her!" Like, wave my
Hey,
hands in the
hey,
air, like,
girls get it done, man.
yeah. I mean, like, anyone who's listened to the podcast before, like, I talk about girl power all the time. Like, I get pumped when I see, like, just girls kicking ass on TV. Like, Wonder Woman is hands down like one of my favorite DCEU movies. Like, I got so pumped during that scene. So yeah, like, that was hands down my favorite part of the season. Um,
The fact that she fled is a big deal.
right.
She
Yeah,
fled. She's like, fuck this, and she flew away.
right.
She
Because
knew
she
she was
knew,
getting her ass kicked, and she would have lost.
yeah, yeah, like, she knew that. I mean, she going one on one with one of those, yeah, like, Stormfront's probably gonna own one of them, but like, the three of them up against her, like Kamiko, who can like regenerate and, just come back to life after dying. Um, yeah, she wouldn't have probably stood a chance if she stuck around. So the fact that she had to take off was like, yeah, that's right, fly away.
Yeah, so then she's like, "Oh, well, look, there's a measly little frail human I can just whoop."
Hmm.
And So I love that. So I did like whenever all the because it was pretty much all the boys coming at her with their guns and whatnot,
Hmm.
right? And we're shooting her, and then she pretty much just Emperor Palpatines them in the air.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh no, like, I mean, like they, in all fairness, they knew that it was that really wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, come
You
on,
know,
her power is like what is it, plasma and lightning, or
it's just
just
yeah,
lightning?
yeah, it's insanity. Like, I mean,
Insanity, insanity.
yeah. So I mean, they know damn well that anything that they do isn't really going to do much. But I mean, like they're the boys. Like they can't just sit there and not do nothing. Like they got to do something. So you can't really fault them for trying.
No, they listen. They're shooting like AKs at her, and Becca owns her with like a tiny knife.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
So can't say it. So yeah, Becca was pretty tough though. Oh, did you see that this was going around on Reddit? People were wondering if Homelander really raped Becca, or if it was a consensual thing.
Hmm.
And because the reason they said this, and uh my husband is kind of curious about this too, is because of like and it's honestly it's never going to sound good how you say this, because it is the typical like, well, when you say, but they're a nice guy, they would never do that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It ain't like that. It's more or less where, like, how Homelander is so awkward with women,
Right.
and like it really wants nothing to do with like any women, like opposites, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at all, like sexual. So I just, it's just interesting that, like, why would he do that? What is, and yeah, and it doesn't really show anything. Not that I would want to see that at all. Um, but and every time a Homelander has brought it up to Billy, he says that said that it was consensual, and the and now Rebecca said only one time that, like, she's like, yeah, he raped me, and but she did have and she also said that, oh yeah, the garbage truck runs the same time every day, so she could have escaped if she wanted to,
Hmm.
if she knew. Uh, I don't know. It's just it does make you think.
Yeah. It is a perplexing question to think about. I don't know how I fall. I feel like it's even trickier for me to speculate being a dude, because I don't know, like I don't want to get canceled on the
No.
social media machine. But yeah, it's pretty tricky because I feel like an argument could be made both ways.
Oh
A
yeah,
solid
no.
argument. Um,
But
yeah,
yeah, and but also, I mean, no, I mean, I think she was, but
yeah,
I just though, but and when she talked with Billy about it, she even said she didn't feel comfortable going to him because she knew that he would, like, do something stupid.
yeah.
Um, uh, though, like, maybe things would have turned out differently if she had.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I guess we'll never know. She took that to the grave.
Yeah, unless Homelander and Billy have another meetup, and maybe he comes clean about what actually happened, if that
Oh
is what
yeah,
actually happened. So maybe that's the thing. I don't know.
yeah. Um, I'm sad because I really wanted Ryan to stick around. I thought it would be kind of cool if
Hmm.
he stayed around, but it definitely is the best for him to, like, go far away,
For
maybe with
sure.
with a nice family.
Yeah, I don't think that's the last time we're gonna see Ryan. I think
Oh
he's
no,
gonna yeah, I think he's gonna show back up in season 3 at some point in time.
think about it. He's the only person who could defeat Homelander.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way. Um, So, I mean, if you, so he'd have to come back at some point. But at least he's not with bots, so that's good. I
Yeah.
do hate it for Billy because I thought Rebecca was pretty cool, and I would have liked her to stay around.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that, I mean, like it wouldn't have been a good situation for Billy to, I don't know. Well, I mean, that feels kind of shitty to say. Like, I wanted Billy to basically take on the role of dad for Ryan.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I
yeah.
really wanted that, but like you said, I feel like it's kind of the best, the best scenario for Ryan to kind of be in the protection of, the CIA basically.
Well,
Um,
yeah. At first, I thought Rebecca was a jerk for saying like, you just try to get rid of him. You know what I mean? You'll try
mhm.
to find a way, blah blah blah, and then I was like, well, I can't believe she do that. That's awful. And then like later, that's the first thing he does.
Right.
Try
Yeah.
to get rid of him. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, really? And uh, but I would have loved to see him as the role. I think things would have went really well if he could have been like the dad figure. But you know what? Even if Rebecca and Ryan had got out with Billy,
Mhm.
um, I mean, think about how that would have went. He probably would have done. He probably would have called Vought, and they would have came and got him.
Yeah.
Because, the only thing he sees is a mini Homelander, a little mini Soup who's evil, and sees his like you know, his rapist, his wife's rapist, little kid, child. Even though he's innocent and adorable, and but yeah, I really do hope he comes back because
For sure. Yeah. Let's talk about uh, real quick, what's her name, the Congresswoman who we found out, we all thought she was pretty darn innocent, but it turns out she's the one that was going around exploding heads.
oh my gosh, yeah, listen to this. Grab yourself an almond joy and a fresca.
Jesus. Yeah.
You like who would have thought?
I did not. Like, she was the last one that I would have pegged to be
Especially since
the
she was getting slathered in guts too, and well,
right,
guts,
yeah.
brains.
Yeah,
But
she did a great job of looking pretty freaked out in that second to last episode when they were trying to get her out of there.
mm-hmm.
Um and I'm like, Homelander and Stormfront, they just made it look way too convincing. Like, the smirks on their faces, just like looking around at people as their heads were exploding. They're just like it just seemed like something that, like, maybe a hidden power that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, they were
And
just standing there like, what's going on? I don't know, but I like it.
right, but like, so but they also had that, like you said, where like you also think like it could be them, but like it couldn't be them because they also look genuinely surprised about what's going on. Like, they're like, it ain't me. Like, it's kind of cool what's happening. Like, all these people's heads exploding, but it's not me. Like, I kind of want to meet this person.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
there was like windows, so it could be like someone looking in. Who knows? But then we find out. Oh, and surprise, surprise! Huey is working for her now.
Right, yeah, poor dude. He just wants to like get out of this shit and go do some good and stuff, and he basically is just right back into the belly of the beast.
The thing is, though, we don't know if she's. I can't say we don't know if she's evil or not because clearly she's evil. She's killing people. But,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just say
we
we
don't
don't
know.
know if she's. We don't know her plans. If she's, is a Vought insider, like if it's like a coup, or
Right.
or if she has her own agenda. We don't know that yet. We
Yeah. Yeah,
could.
that's just there's all there's so many unknowns with her right now. Like, and I think that's one of the things that made this cliffhanger so good is that like not only did we find out like who's exploding heads, but like it's it's someone that we know. It's not some nobody, but it's it's someone that we're relatively familiar with. And um but it gives us like some questions to ask ourselves, like is she good, is she bad, is she like somewhere in between, like I don't know.
Because the
It's a
first
lot.
person she kills is I mean, the deputy district attorney who is a
Right.
good person, and so
Yeah.
and and she can kill soups, because I'm
Mm.
sure some people will be like, well, maybe she can only kill humans and not soups. Well, nope, she killed the one guy who was taking A Train's place.
Oh, yeah, what's his name?
The
The other
other
Sonic.
the other Sonic, yeah, the other Flash.
God, what's his name? Yeah, they are basically all modeled after DC characters,
Oh, of
more or
course.
less.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, come on, look in the Seven, their room, like I mean, with their little table and everything, and
Yeah.
they even have like the little statues built for them and everything. It's
Yeah.
fantastic, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming Black Noir is supposed to be like a form of Batman.
Batman, yeah.
Yeah,
Have you seen the Honest trailer for The Boys that they did not
no.
too long ago? Okay. I don't know if you watch the Honest trailers at
Oh,
all, but
I've watched them before. They're funny.
okay, yeah, this one is spot on. Like it's so good. And it pointed out all these things to me, like I didn't realize exactly how much resemblance there is between the Seven and the Justice League. I was like, holy shit! Like it's so funny how uh, the resemblance is like I don't know. It's there, but it's so intentionally like making fun of it. It's great.
Oh, I just remembered. I remembered something.
Okay.
Um, uh, episode one.
Mhm.
Episode one did start with like something kind of disturbing when when Blind Shot came on. So okay, they were looking for they have so they did Translucent's funeral, which was hysterical. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
that was very funny. And so and with the deep gone, they have missing spots that need to be filled, and so since Ashley is in charge, she's like first she's like, oh look, I found this person, and she says he's disabled, it'll make us look great for the ratings. And I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, and she's like, oh, he's also Asian, and and she says all we need now is is a woman, but have her be black, and it'll be great. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my god, Ashley, and um, so now this guy had a cool power. He
Yeah.
was like and in my
He's kind
opinion,
of like Daredevil
he was
almost.
like yeah, he was like a daredevil mixed with but he no, yeah, it was just pretty much Daredevil. Yeah, I mean, because I thought he had like a bow with him at one point, but no, he didn't. Uh, but yeah, no, yeah, he was like Daredevil. It was really damn cool.
Yeah.
And until Homelander just pretty much popped like near his ears and like made his eardrums like explode.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was like,
That's.
oh my god.
I mean, yeah. Like that was. Yeah, that wasn't cool.
And now, and now he's like, now he's just another disabled person. So I was like, what the hell?
I know. I
What
was
the
like,
hell?
yeah, not cool, bro. Not cool. Like, I don't know. That's just I I felt bad for that guy. I was like, oh, that poor guy. Like, he just wanted to be in the Seven.
Well,
Like,
maybe he's okay.
yeah, but I don't know. I
And he
mean,
can
like,
just not, maybe he can like be like happy he's not in the seven.
yeah. I mean, people really, anyone that's not in the Seven should be thanking their lucky stars that they are not in the Seven because it's like a prison cult, basically.
Oh yeah.
It's just a fucking nightmare.
Oh, Queen Maeve, her sexuality got revealed on live
Yeah.
TV.
She was basically outed.
Yeah, again, and by Homelander,
Yeah,
and then
poor
and then they
poor
got
Maeve.
tortured with it.
Yeah, um,
Queen Maeve,
yeah.
proud bars.
Jesus.
Taste the rainbow.
Oh my god, like the way that they are able to cash in monetarily on everything, every aspect of their lives, like, is so fantastically disgusting. Like, it's this crazy layer of irony, looking at our own current situation and how, like third party marketing companies, their job is to like put positive spins on terrible shit, and like turn every opportunity into a way to make money. It's just like so disgusting. And you see, like, the whole superhero thing in this world, it's basically looked at as just a way to make money, and it's just likes on social media and hashtags, and like it's so commercialized, like it's so gross, but it's like so incredibly fascinating to watch because you're like, this feels familiar in some way, you know?
Oh yeah, I remember in season one, whenever A Train, he's just walking in a store, but in street clothes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's just in a store to shop, and his and he has, he's obviously all of them have brand deals, and he,
Yeah.
has a shoe brand deal. So, uh, and he's just, in his street clothes hanging out, and the white, I have to clarify, white guard is like eyeing him like he's gonna steal something because he's
Right.
black, and
Uh-huh.
and he and then like starting wanting to like see if he stole anything, and then he's telling him like he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm A Train." He's like, "Okay, yeah, and I'm Homelander." And I mean, that was actually kind of funny, but
Yeah.
until he finally and then people were like, "Oh my god, that's A Train," and then
Yeah.
and and then he like switches gears super fast and
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sorry," and it's like, you know, if he came in there in his A Train outfit and everything, it
Right.
would have
Yeah,
been
there'd be
like,
no
"Oh
question.
my god," "It's A Train's, like, sign my Jordans." Um, but you know, uh, just like, uh, but or if it was, or Starlight was, uh, went into, because you see her walking around, or in her street clothes, and
Hmm.
you see her face plastered everywhere, now, and now you see her. She's back in her new sexy uniform.
Right.
I was like, "Where's her old uniform?" Remember, she said she wanted to be back in her old uniform.
Hmm.
She didn't want to wear her sexy one anymore. And
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Um yeah, so I mean, I think it's probably time to get to some final thoughts, but one last thing that I wanted to talk about was the relationship between Starlight and Huey. I like it. It warms my heart that it's a thing, like that they kind of found their way back to each other. Like, I think they do make a fantastic match, and the dynamic between like it's not the dude that has the superpowers and the girl that is, it's not like Superman and Lois Lane, where Lois Lane doesn't have any powers. Like, it's that role reversal, and it's just so fascinating because it's something that we really don't see too much. And yeah, I think that they make a great pair, and I hope that it kind of stays that way going
me too,
forward.
me too. And I do like the scene whenever Homelander has is threatening her in the elevator, and she
Hmm.
tells him that, he broke my heart and everything, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not lying," and that was like a really anxious scene, and
Yes.
because but yeah, she wasn't lying, and I'm glad, that things, made up, and that sweet, voicemail he left her, but um uh I do believe that, like, that they are like that they'll stay together and that they're a sweet couple. Obviously she came and saved him at the end of the first uh season, and then she
Yeah.
saved him again
Yeah,
at,
and then, like,
near the end.
yeah, and then, like, I guess he technically didn't save her. I mean, he was trying to, and he kinda helped, but, like, when she gets apprehended by, I guess it was Homelander or whoever.
Black Noir.
Yeah, that's
He
right,
got her.
yeah.
Yeah, he got her twice, and
Yeah, and so, like, she's trying to, figure out what to do, like, her and I guess it was Maeve, because she's the one who shoved the almond joy in his mouth. Uh, and so they're, like, trying to escape, and Huey's trying to find her, and they end up running into each other, and she's like, "Oh my god, what are you doing here?" And,
and he
like,
just smiles and or like
yeah,
just
and
gives
it's
her
just
this look.
silence. Yeah, it's just silence, and, like, there's just, like, you watch it happen on screen with no words being said whatsoever. And I was just like, this is, like, so pure and so brilliant. Like, no one had to fucking say anything about why he came, what she's doing, what he's doing, what everyone's like no one had to say shit. Like, it was just beautiful. Like, I
No,
don't know.
it was really sweet because, she could just see like how he'd been trying to like get her forgiveness, but also
Right.
that like she's like had to have known, and he just like he know that him getting in there, even getting that close, he would have been like dead
Right.
by anybody, and
Yeah.
but he still came to try at least attempt to rescue her.
Mhm.
Granted, granted, I do believe he did a lot of work because if he hadn't
Yeah,
brought
for
Lamplighter
sure.
there, you
Yeah.
know, the
Yeah,
scene
I
with
mean,
the whole Lamplighter thing was really emotional in my opinion too.
yeah, that was, yeah, I mean, we can't overlook that one.
No,
Rest in peace, Lamplighter. Like,
I know he was
you,
he
yeah, he wasn't
he
innocent, but
he was not innocent.
he wasn't a giant piece of shit.
No.
I mean, he was just, seeking some resolution and some, acceptance from his dad, basically.
But also, it's like he never went out to he never actually went out to kill any children.
Yeah, right,
So I'm not saying that but I mean, yeah, he still would have went to kill somebody. But I mean, in a world where like in that world where they're killing people, that's a huge difference. You know what I mean?
for
It's like I'm
sure.
just gonna randomly kill your boss versus I'm gonna randomly kill your boss's grandchildren. It's totally different.
Yeah,
And so he's had to live with that guilt for years. So, yeah, and he actually was a pretty cool dude. And
yeah.
then they were making him burn people alive, and he had I mean, could you imagine? That'd be awful. Um
Yeah, that's not the way that I would like to go, being burned alive. That'd just be way too hot. Way too hot.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't you hope that the girl, I don't remember what her name was. I think they only said it once or twice. The girl who has the power very similar to Kenji, but remember she hitchhiked out of the asylum.
Oh, yeah, I barely remember her, but I
But
know who you're talking about.
she better show up because that she was cool and
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I feel like she, yeah, now that you mention her, I mean, I remember her now, like, I feel like they're gonna bring her back in some
because
form or fashion.
because the because why would the episode just randomly end with her walking and then putting her thumb out, someone picking her up, and then there she goes, and she didn't kill him, they're just driving.
Right, yeah, for
And
sure.
uh
Yeah,
so
I don't
I don't
know.
know, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, final thoughts um and all that. Uh what you got?
All right, so I think season 2, I don't know, I liked it. I think that they did a great job. They didn't drop the ball at all. I was never bored at all.
Mhm.
Um, I was never like I'm enjoying this, but I'm checking my phone from time to time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
No.
uh, I just I love a happy ending.
Mhm.
um, though every main character who died was a woman. Isn't that kind of interesting?
Mm. I guess I didn't really think about that, but yeah, that is kind of interesting. I mean, but like my knee
Um,
jerk reaction was like, well, what about Lamplighter? But Lamplighter wasn't a
a
main
main character.
character.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to do the whole like I'm a angry feminist. No, not at all.
Sure,
I'm
sure,
just saying
I
like
get it.
it was kind of random and you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
didn't put it
that
together until like the end. All the people who died, like the main people who died, and I was like, wow.
yeah, that is kind of interesting and kind of weird. But yeah, no, I love this season. I'll echo what you said about the boredom. I was not bored at any point in time. I think I feel like they could stretch this out to 10 episodes if they wanted to, but having 8
Yeah.
really solid heavy hitter episodes is I think I've said that a lot about seasons of shows in the past. Is like, if they have 10 episodes or 12 episodes, and like maybe 9 of those 12 are like solid, and then there's like kind of three quote unquote throwaway episodes. Like, I'd rather them condense things and have like maybe 8 or 9 episodes that are just like really solid, but have less episodes. I'd much prefer that. So I think this is kind of their winning formula, or one of them at least, is having less episodes and each episode packing more of a punch, both physically and or literally and metaphorically
Oh yeah.
speaking. So yeah, I loved it. I'd have to go back and rewatch both seasons to definitively say if there is a season that I prefer over another, but just at 1,000 foot glance from watching season one once and watching season two once, I'd have to say I prefer season two. Or I enjoyed season two a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um,
I really liked season 2. I feel like I liked the, relationship between,
mhm.
Huey and, Billy, even when they're at each other,
Yeah,
would, MM oh my god, I know his name is Martin, thank God, but, like, I don't know why they call him Mother's Milk, that just creeps me out so
it creeps
bad.
me out too. I'm glad that they abbreviate it most of the time to
It's, you
MM.
know, MM, like, I don't ever really hear him call him Martin, but yeah, MM, I'm glad where'd they even get that Mother's Milk?
Yeah,
Help me.
yeah. I mean, it does kind of fit in with the overall aesthetic of this show, where like some things make you cringe, whether it's like verbal or visual. Yeah, and when it's like, my name's Mother's Milk, you got a problem with that? I was like, actually, I do. Like, it's kind of gross, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I
y-
love it.
yeah, I was like, yeah, but you didn't pick out the name, so we'll roll with it. I can deal with MM.
MM's good, but when he tells him that, Huey is his canary,
Hmm.
uh, that actually I thought that said a lot, like, for the show too,
For
like,
sure.
with relationships
Hmm.
and, you know, knowing when you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be really easy for, um,
For
Billy
bit.
to go too far, like, real
Oh
easy.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I feel like there was several opportunities for him to just go off the bloody rails in this and season 1 too. Or yeah, and but like you said in the show, um I it was MM that pointed out, like, he's your canary. Like, he lets you know when you're about to go over that line that you don't want to cross.
Yeah, it's like
um
when you hurt your canary, you know what I mean? It's like, it's
yeah,
bad, and but also
right,
when you find out, like, he reminds him and he looks similar to his, like, his dead little
yeah,
brother, it's like, oh,
right, yeah.
and, like, but. I
Yeah.
don't know, but, I don't know, it's sweet and
Yeah.
sad, and now the little canary's gonna go and he's like, I'm not gonna hug on to them and rely on them anymore." And then Annie's like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "No, I'm still gonna hold on to you." He's like "What?" He's like, "I'd have to." He's like, "What am I crazy?"
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just
Exactly.
like, yeah." He's like, "You nuts? Have you?" But oh, and I love what the scene with Maeve when Maeve said he looks like a twink. I could break him like a twig.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I was gonna cry. I was laughing so hard at that.
Yeah. I mean, like, we can't all be badasses. Like, you know, I
He tries
mean,
really hard, okay?
yeah.
He does his best.
he did his best. Oh God, yeah. God bless him.
Like he carries the backpacks.
He carries the backpacks. That's great.
He get
Um,
he makes the sandwiches and hands out the Kool-Aids for everybody. He's like, "I got the
right.
bottled waters for you, MM."
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, we've definitely covered a lot in this episode. We've talked about a lot of the hard hitting moments in this series and some of the low key moments in the season. So yeah. I mean, I feel comfortable, signing off um, if you said your piece,
Mhm.
we can call it a day. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, Rika, thank you once again so much for coming back on the podcast and talking about nerdy stuff with me. It's
Oh, of course,
always
anytime. I love it, live for it.
yeah. Anytime that I have an opportunity to talk about the boys, or other nerdy stuff, I know we've been chatting a lot this month about horror movies because I've been doing all the stuff on our Facebook group page with that hashtag 31 days of horror and the horror movie villain bracket brawl and all
Oh,
that. Like it's kept me busier than anything else in my entire life with the podcast. Like, I mean, typically it's just like, I have to worry about finding, guests if we need a guest for an episode or topics. It's typically like, okay, like low key stuff that I can handle, but like, holy shit, like this month has given me so much damn homework. It's
ugh.
been insanity, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, chatting back and forth with you and getting your horror movie opinions and suggestions and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate your participation in the group as well, and all your votes that you throw out and
Of
the
course, and
comments. It's
if anyone actually thought that Chucky would win against Candyman, please, please.
Yeah, that was. I can't remember if that was like the biggest landslide out of all of them. I think no, the biggest landslide was the very first one, and that was Freddy versus Ghostface, and Ghostface got one vote. And yeah, Freddy got the rest of them. I think he got like 15 or 20 votes. It was a pretty big landslide. So yeah, Chucky versus Candyman. It wasn't, as big of a wash as that, but it was a pretty big wash. So
I think I think that Chucky versus Ghostface would have been pretty interesting.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah, by the time this episode airs, it'll be airing on I forget the date. It'll be I mean, we're recording this on a Saturday, so yeah, it should be releasing on the 21st. So by then, we'll be done with round 1 and into halfway into round 2, or partway into round 2, where the winners of round 1 will face off against each other. So that'll be fun. So
oh, I'm so
um,
ready. I'm living
yeah,
for this little face off though.
yeah, I'm
And
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. It's we talked about it last episode on our Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, how like I had the initial idea of just being have a giant master list of villains, like horror movie villains, be like, all right, everyone, like pick your favorite. And I talked to Ted about it, and he's like, how about we have like a bracket? And I was like, fucking way better than my idea. So yeah, it's Yeah. Every once in a while, Ted comes up with some good ideas. So I
It's like,
just want to put
oh
that
my
on the
gosh,
record.
Ted, you did it. You get a gold star.
Right. Yeah. You participated. Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you.
Like, oh,
Um,
good for you. Yeah.
now,
Though I'm not like scared of any of those the people on there. Like, I would tell you though, if you put like the main villain from like I told you before the Poughkeepsie tapes, I would die.
oh,
I'd be like, no, please,
yeah.
please.
Yeah, I definitely have that on my list now. I think I added it on my watch list for Amazon Prime, I think, which is appropriate. So, um, so yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I might actually watch that tonight if Lindsay's gone to bed. She's not a huge fan of horror, so I
If
kind
you
of have
watch
to
it,
watch.
message me, and then
Yes, for
and
sure.
oh god, that is so
Yeah,
scary.
yeah, I will definitely do that. I'm looking for something kind of messed up tonight, so
That's it
we'll
then.
see. All right.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, Rika, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I appreciate it. Um, and listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, of course. Find us, of course, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Leave us a rating and review. The best app is Apple Podcast, but there's a couple other apps out there. I think Stitcher has a rating and review system, Castbox, a couple others. But yeah, ratings and reviews, they help us out tremendously in the podcast app realm when it comes to our podcast getting boosted up in the ratings. So we appreciate it. And as always, be kind, stay geeky, and eat lots of cheesecake. Bye!